Good evening, everyone. Well, it's such a pleasure to have so many of you here with us tonight. A very big thank you from all of us for joining us here at 180. And I have to apologise for my really husky, croaky voice, which has suddenly given way just in time for tonight, loading up on all the peppermint tea. Anyway, it's amazing to have you here, and we're really excited to have you join our conversation on the power of rest. I think we can all agree here, sleep is a basic human necessity. You know, it governs our mood, our energy, how we perform, our tendency to anxiety, even how we digest our food. So in partnership with DIOME, and ahead of the clocks going back this weekend, in case you'd forgotten, probably not, it's an extra hour of lying in bed. We're really going to be discussing tonight how we can ensure a more restful night's sleep. And I'm really analysing what specific role our skincare routines, our circadian rhythms, and also our nutrition play in that equation. So when we founded the Beauty Triangle, it was to educate and empower consumers on all aspects of their health and well-being, and always critically from a holistic 360-degree perspective, which is why you'll always find at our events 3 experts on our panels, all of whom are a complete authority in their given field. We also wanted to make sure we were having the conversations that no one else is really having in the wellness sector, and in doing so, introduce audience members to the most sought after and expert practitioners around today. So with that in mind, it gives me great pleasure to introduce tonight's speakers. We're joined by celebrity facialist and founder of the Skinny Sis Clinic, Sarah Chapman. We're also joined by sleep expert and DIOME's head of research and education, Dr. Maria Jencikova. And finally, by functional medicine practitioner and naturopath, Rose Ferguson. Sorry, my mic keeps going up and down. Sometimes it's very loud when I come out with something. And they're really going to be examining the latest findings into sleep optimization, whether that be the power of topical skincare, whether it be the role of sleep architecture, or even the simple lifestyle amends that we can all make on the day-to-day to sleep that little bit better at nighttime. Hopefully you've all found a program with information on tonight's speakers on your seat. You also will have found a little referral card on there. There's a QR code, so if you'd like us to connect you with anybody that you hear speak here tonight, just leave an email address, tick the box next to their name, and we'll connect you. We'll have time for audience questions at the end, so please save anything up until the end, and we'll do our best to get to those. And finally, I'm sure you've all seen it as well, nobody ever ignores a goodie bag, but there is a really lovely treat for everyone here. It's the DIO breasted supplement, so you can take that away with you tonight and get cracking on a good night's sleep from the moment you get home. Enough from me. I'm going to hand over to our brilliant speakers. They're going to say a quick hello, and then we'll get started with the main conversation. So Sarah, starting with you. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I don't know if this is working. It doesn't quite sound like it. Hopefully I'm going to share some ideas about skincare and what we can do at night to get the most out of our skin and what happens with our skin at night time. My background, as some of you may know, is from facials through to product formulation. And I launched my skincare brand 15 years ago. So always looking at how we innovate and how we actually treat people from a physiological and psychological aspect. So the importance of the sensorial elements of skincare, the importance of smells, but with the scientific basis of really performance-driven formulations.
Amazing, so excited to have you here, always. Dr. Maria.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you for having me here. It's such a pleasure to share these moments with you. So I'm Dr. Maria, and I'm a medical doctor with over 25 years of experience in fields extending like beyond conventional medicine, homeopathy, micronutrition, systemic medicine, coherence cardiac, and so on. And 15 years ago, I made a choice to dedicate myself exclusively to personalized medicine. So this is what I'm also both like teaching and practicing. And as a scientific advisor at DIOME, I apply my expertise to developing, creating formulas and nutraceuticals, and also creating scientific content. So we can ensure that a brand remains in scientific excellence.
Amazing, thank you, Maria. And Rose.
Hi, I'm Rose Ferguson. I am a nutritionist and a functional medicine practitioner. I have been working in this field for 15 years almost. And I suppose my part that I bring to this is looking at lifestyle and what you can do, the small things you can do on a daily basis to impact sleep. I think sleep has just been like a growth. You know, when I started, I think we were still on 4 hours a night is totally fine, and actually less sleep is better. I think that's rapidly changing, fortuitously. I'm also the founder of our Health Club, which is an online members platform. And so that's really what I bring to it.
I need all of your sleep enhancing tips. As somebody who is yawning all day today and thinking the irony that we're hosting this talk on sleep tonight, I'll be soaking up everything that you have to say, as well as I'm sure everyone else will be here too, Rose. Thank you. So we'll get started with the main conversation. And so Sarah Chapman's introduced herself, obviously. Sarah's always been my sort of go-to woman when it comes to looking for a really hands-on, effective facial, but also formulations that are rooted in scientific excellence when it comes to skincare. So Sarah, maybe you can set the scene for us a little bit. I mean, we all know that a disrupted night's sleep leaves our skin looking a little under par, but why exactly is this, and what is our skin actually doing as we sleep?
Yeah, it's a really important time for skin because it's the time for regeneration. It's the time when you're going through the most sort of cell division and multiplication of cells. So mitosis, which is cell division, happens at its peak sort of about 11:30 at night. So if not in bed by then, we're missing out on some really good regeneration.
That's really good to know, actually.
Yeah.
That's a reason to get into bed before midnight.
Exactly. And sort of between 11 and 4, quite a lot is happening with the skin. So the skin has its own kind of circadian rhythm. There's the action of all sort of detoxification, but all that cell renewal and regeneration that's happening through the night. And it's a very sort of specific flow of what's going on. We need to detoxify the pollutants from the day. We need to utilize kind of antioxidants in skincare through the night to sort of get rid of all those sort of oxidants and toxins that have come from through the day. And it's really that kind of regenerative time. It's a really important time for skin. I almost think it's like when you go to bed and you relax, your skin suddenly goes into a rest mode. In the daytime, it's firefighting, it's defense, it's like UV light, it's pollution, it's everything around you that's kind of attacking. All those environmental aggressors in the daytime mean that your skin is having to protect itself, so it can't focus at that time on its regeneration, on its sort of internal detoxification, and the kind of well-being aspects. So at night time is the time that you can really do that. Nighttime is when your skin will go through all the processes to prepare itself for the next day's onslaught of environmental aggressors and light and everything that are around. So
it's sort of the repair from the day that's been, and the getting ready for the day that's to come as well, like everything, I guess, in the body. It's in that constant state of rest and recovery, and then sort of onward sort of looking, isn't it? I mean, you see clients who are very busy, they're probably very time poor, they're probably traveling a huge amount. How do you see that manifesting on their sleep and then subsequently their skin?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, if somebody's got jet lag, so different time zones. Let's just try. Hello. Yeah, much better. Yeah, I think it's stopped now. No? Anyway, I'll keep talking. I can speak loudly if you like. If somebody's travelling a lot, and we have lots of clients that are kind of international kind of jet setting people, they're in lots of different time zones, whether it's with work or whether it's just pleasure, whatever it is, jet lag plays a really important role in kind of skin. And we all know that if we don't get enough sleep, it's puffy eyes, the skin looks more blotchy, maybe redness that's underlying sort of comes through to the surface a bit. And we start to look tired very quickly if we don't have good sleep, because we haven't gone through that regenerative time. You know, that deep REM sleep is where your skin is at its most sort of efficient at recovering and regenerating and producing new cells. And so if you're not getting that sort of deep sleep on a regular basis, or it's been disrupted by traveling in different time zones and jet lag, then that has a really quick impact on your skin.
I'm glad you mentioned the puffy eyes, because that's definitely something that I think is one of the first things we notice when we're really sleep deprived, don't we? Is there anything that we can do to eliminate that? Any sort of tips from you? I mean, magic hands that you have on eliminating that sort of stagnant sort of lymph that gets stuck?
Yeah, it's pretty basic, really. The things really to do are massage, because if the lymphatic system becomes sluggish because you're tired or for whatever reason, and you start to get that puffiness around the eyes, then really the methods are basically using sort of pulse point massage and using sort of detoxification through sort of drainage areas around the eyes. That's probably the most efficient. Nice things like cooling pads can be quite nice to sort of get that vasoconstriction and to try and get everything sort of pulled down a little bit. And drinking lots of water is also obviously super helpful. One of the things that's happening at night time as well is we get an increase of about 25% of transepidermal water loss. So we lose a massive amount of moisture when we're in bed, which is why things like night oils and great moisturizers are so beneficial during that sleep phase. And
They
again,
really sort of lock the hydration into the skin.
And even though puffiness can be fluid, it can be fluid in a different way around your eyes. You still need to drink the fluid to flush the toxins, to help the lymphatic system remove anything that's kind of sitting. And if we think about under the eyes, it's the tissue under the eyes is so thin, it's like 0.2 millimeters to 0.5 millimeters. We don't have bone structure underneath the whole of the eye area. We have it to here, but we don't have it under this tissue.
That's so true.
We don't have valves in the capillaries in that area, so blood pools and sits in capillaries, so you get dark circles. So there's a lot that's different about that tiny little bit of skin and tissue around the eyes. So it does respond very quickly to being tired and fatigued and showing stress. And it's about then how you just help to sort of accelerate the drainage process, and also maybe shrink the tissues a little bit with cooling, and keeping them as sort of supported and healthy as possible. You know, I'm a big fan of omega oils and taking omega oils internally so that all the structure of the skin is
It's really resilient and lovely. And what are the sort of nighttime rituals that you sort of really recommend to, I suppose, calm the body, calm the mind? I guess sort of sensorial textures, natural scents, essential oils, even the texture. I think that can be so powerful to help us to actually switch off at nighttime, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you've had a really busy, stressful day, I often say to my clients, you know, when you get home, take that time to do your cleansing routine and do your night routine. So many people say to me, I can't be bothered to cleanse by the time I go to bed. I'm exhausted and I just want to roll into bed. We know that we need to cleanse our skin at night, but then I just switch it up. So when you get home and you take your heels off or your suit off or your clothes off and you put your scruffies on, you stick your hair up, at that moment is the moment to kind of do your cleansing routine. And actually, while you still really have the energy, do it properly. Use like cleansing balms where you can really inhale the scent, that you can use that to literally wash the day away, get rid of the pollutants, but psychologically
I
wash
love that
the day
expression,
away.
wash the day away, exactly. It means so much, you know, when you're sort of trying to,
And I think
suppose
that's
before.
that physiological and psychological. Everything that you do, that you're doing for yourself, should be making you feel good at the same time as actually treating your skin, putting antioxidants in, cleansing the pores, the functional part of it. Instead of it being a functional process to cleanse your skin, it should actually be a really enjoyable ritual.
I think ritual is the right word.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, there are also some really key active ingredients that probably our skin would benefit from at night time, things like the retinols, the retinals. Where do you stand on things like that? I know one of your newest products has both of them,
It does.
I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where do those fit into sort of keeping the skin sort of in peak condition?
Yeah, I mean, again, because your skin is so receptive at night and because it's the phase where your cells are really regenerating and there is so much going on in the skin, it's a great time to use your active ingredients and give your skin the chance to take them in, get them to the cells, utilize them and make the best benefits for the skin because it's not in that kind of attack defense mode. And you haven't got to have your SPF on and things like that will interfere with kind of absorption. So it's retinols are best used at night because they can be photosensitizers. So if you put them on in the day, you do have to be careful with light damage or sun damage, but you can do it. You can do it with using good SPF. But they're much better at night time so that they can really be utilized by the skin. Retinol, retinal, retinol palmitate, retinaldehyde, all of those are retinoids, which are vitamin A. Beta-carotene is vitamin A, it's just the natural form. So in your skin you have retinoic acid, which is the active component of a retinoid that actually changes the skin, and that's the thing that really works. And all of these different sort of forms that we hear about all the time and people are getting quite confused about.
But they all sound so similar. I mean,
Yeah.
retinol, retinal, retinoic.
The L and the different bits that make
retinoids,
it different.
yeah.
But they all turn into retinoic acid. They go through a conversion process in the skin and then that's what makes the change. And it's a super powerful ingredient. And it can change your skin.
And there's new sort of regulation coming around, am I right, in the sort of next year or so regarding sort of retinols or retinols or retinoics? I can't remember which one. You'll have to tell us exactly what it is, but what does that mean, and do we need to do anything differently, I suppose, as a result?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a new law is coming in, sort of an EU legislation, which will limit the use of retinol to 0.3% in a product. So you might see at the moment, if you see retinol products on the market, you see things up to like 1%. Mm-hmm. And quite often dermatologists will recommend sort of stronger retinoids and in aim to get the skin peeling and shedding and smoothing. But it's actually going to get limited down to 0.3%. So actually, one of my beliefs is it's not all about the percentages, it's about what you're getting into the skin, how are you getting it into the skin. So the vitamin A1 serum, which we launched earlier this year, has less than that in it, but it delivers more deeper down into the skin via a drug delivery system than putting 1% on the surface or 0.5% on the surface. So it's
you
just
reduce
going
all
to
that
mean,
inflammation and sort of sensitivity.
Yeah, it's going to mean that products need to be smarter because we know that the concentrations of retinoids have a powerful effect on the cells, they repair damage in the skin, and they give a visible, really good effect to the skin. It's going to be about how do we take smaller amounts but get them where they need to be to have those similar sorts of effects. They definitely don't want to get rid of retinol, but it's now going to be limited. So
it's so interesting seeing sort of how these delivery systems are becoming more and more sophisticated, and I know we'll probably speak to Dr. Maria as well about how that sort of translates into the world of sleep formulations as well. What are your personal sort of go-to lifestyle tips when it comes to personally ensuring that you get a good night's sleep?
I don't always get a good night. Now I have an Aura ring, I assess it every morning and look at what's going on.
Does that help you sleep or does that stress you out, I feel like?
No, it doesn't stress me out, but I find it quite fascinating because sometimes I wake up and think, God, I had really rubbish sleep and I'm really tired. And I look and it says 8.5 hours and I think, oh, okay. Does it change how I feel? No.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't take my phone to the bedroom. I never have the phone in the bedroom. I don't even know how to use the alarm on my phone. So if I go away in a hotel room, I'm like, I have absolutely no idea. So I'm really old-fashioned and I say, can you call me at 6 o'clock?
Not knowing how to use the alarm on your phone.
I know, because I gotta have it in the bedroom and I think I don't need to use it.
God, I snooze
so I don't look
10 times every morning.
So yeah, we know that we're supposed to put our phones down a good sort of hour to 2 hours before going to bed because it's messing with the signals, it's going to mess with the circadian rhythm. How are we going to get into that pattern of sleep? So I leave mine downstairs on the charger. I have a Lumilight alarm clock.
That's a nice one. So it sort of gradually lights up, right?
Yeah, so you start to think, oh, there's light coming through the window, and it's not, it's coming through, and then you hear the birds tweeting. And or sometimes it's Alexa who says it's 6 o'clock and it's 3 degrees in London, and I've got to take the dogs to the park, and I think, okay, I know what to wear now. So it's either of those two things. But I always do quite a nice cleansing ritual before I go to bed. So Ultimate Cleanse, which is one of my original products, which I just love, and you can really massage it in. So you get the sensorial sort of scents around you that for me make me automatically just
and I think it makes you
relax.
breathe a little deeper as well, doesn't it? When you've got these lovely sort of transporting scents, you do really take the time to slow down and really inhale them properly, and I think that's so important at the end of the day.
And I think, you know, people who don't necessarily want to do that or they do their cleansing earlier can have little elements of that around. So pillow mists are obviously a huge thing now, whether they're lavender based or whatever, so something that you can just spray around that starts to relax you. Things like oils like frankincense and clary sage are super grounding, so even like we were talking about jet lag earlier, if you need to sort of get back to base a little bit, those are really good. And you can just put some on cotton wool or tissue and stick it by the bed or put it under the pillow, so you start to get some of those kind of therapeutic smells and oils around. I think that's really useful.
There's oil burners as well.
Yeah. I take magnesium bisglycinate before I go to sleep to help with sleeping. And if I don't want to take the pill, I spray like magnesium spray on my legs.
That's a nice way actually.
Which
I
I
did a lot
think,
when I was pregnant. I don't
did
think.
you?
Yeah.
Because it's also good for heavy legs.
Yes, exactly.
Twitchy
heavy legs.
Yeah, so I have a little very simple ritual, but it's like, skincare and an overnight facial goes on. I do a bit of magnesium, and that's it. And the other things that I do use sometimes, actually, I did it the other day, the space masks. Have you ever tried
Oh,
space
they're the ones
masks?
that heat up, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're like
galactic
single-use
things.
disposable.
Yeah.
And I first saw similar things when I was in Japan, in Tokyo, and in the hotel rooms they would be on your pillow, these masks. That's where I first discovered them. Anyway, there's a brand here called Space Masks, and you open it, you put it on, and gradually for your first sort of 10 minutes going into sleep, they heat up. And if you're really tired and your eyes are a bit itchy and maybe you've got a bit of a headache, they just kind of melt it away. So sometimes if I know it's going to be a bad night, I'll have a space mask on as well.
You just need to develop one under your own name
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was fascinating and some really interesting tips there. I always love knowing what individuals do to have a good night's sleep. So that was really cool.
Thank you.
To
And
know as
hopefully
well.
everybody will cleanse before they go to bed.
Yes, exactly.
And do
I
their
mean,
little rituals tonight, leave the phone downstairs.
And you've got that extra hour this weekend as well. So what
Yeah.
better way to put it to use?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we pass over? Can you guys reach? Wonderful. Sorry. Only 2 mics now working. Thank you so much, Sarah. Our next speaker is Dr. Maria Jencikova. She's already introduced herself, so you'll know her background really spans all different fascinating areas of medicine, from the conventional to the integrative. But Maria, I'm really fascinated to know how you first became so fixated on sleep. I mean, it's something that you know a huge amount about now. So what started that journey for you?
Actually, I was always fascinated and patient by searching and understanding how body works at like whole and how everything is connected. And I think I'm not alone here. Like caregivers often forget to take care of themselves, right? And
you never
so,
put your oxygen mask on first.
I didn't really take care of my sleep until I was preparing, editing one of my major courses for medical doctors on sleep. And so more I learned, more I was like, wow. So I neglected my sleep. I always felt like I get enough of sleep, and But since I really started to learn about it and about all those mechanisms and how everything's connected and how it works, I was like, oh my God, no, this is really true. Like, and in France we say that if you were talking about the slot, like 10:30, 11:30, and so in France we say that if you miss a wagon of a train, you can't catch the same, and this is exactly about what we are talking. So like, I was also delaying going to bed
at night,
and but since this time, so many years ago, now I'm very
I feel like you only fully appreciate the value of sleep when you're in the thick of struggling with it. Often that's when it suddenly becomes a focus for a lot of people, right? What are the common sleep concerns that you see in your patients and in your practice?
Yeah, indeed. Some people really realize that sleep is important only when they struggle with it. And what I see in my practice, mostly people that struggle with falling asleep. Also, some it vary very by ages. These problems. So struggling also to keep sustained sleep, to not wake up during the night.
And do hormones play a role in that? You're sort of talking about different ages. Do hormones play a role in that? You see this probably like menopausal, perimenopausal.
Every system. And this is really like a philosophy behind DIOME, that we believe that every system is important. And if we are talking about sleep, often we think like sleep is going on in our brain, or we all know that if we had a heavy meal, we don't sleep well. If we exercised, worked up too late and too much, we can't sleep well, and so on. And so really every system is connected, and they are connected, and hormones of course are participating on balance of our sleep. So
I think the overthinking as well, you know, sometimes not being able to fall asleep, it's the worst thing is knowing that you're not able to fall asleep, and then it takes even longer because you're starting to worry about it so much. It becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Many people can experience this vicious cycle, and so there are many possibilities to resolve it. Like we are all unique, so everyone will need another approach, a specific approach.
It has to be bespoke.
Yeah, it has to be really personalized.
What do most of us think a good night's sleep looks like?
Yeah. Many of us think that getting like 7-8 hours of sleep it's enough, but it's not really the synonym of good sleep. We need also to get like good quality sleep, and it means that sleep and also sleep in each age and each time we like body is able sleep has specific architecture, and so to get a good sleep we need to go through specific and all stages and several times, and it's not only about really like time but also quality, and
so
really
quality, not quantity.
Experience like deep stages and consequently like deep stages and then REM stage and so on. So it's not only about the hours we get.
Because actually, you were saying to me before we had this conversation, all of us wake at night, don't we? We all have these sort of micro awakenings, which is interesting, even if we don't remember them.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I was always like really like incredibly patient and always so surprised, memorized. I can say by the perfection of our body. Our body has really like genius. And how also our biology is adapted to who we are, how we live. And so the scientifics from evolutionary perspective think that they believe, because they studies these micro awakenings that we experience every night. And so everybody wakes up every night several times, but not everyone remembers it, and not everyone struggles with the falling asleep again. And so from this evolutionary perspective, they think that our ancestors experience these micro awakenings to be aware, to check out their environment, to prevent risks and dangers or predators. So it's always fascinating to think about how perfect our body are. So.
It's so interesting, yeah. The body is endlessly sort of interesting in how it orchestrates itself. And so often there is a sort of anthropological, evolutionary reason why our body does the things that it does. Tell us a little bit about the systems biology, because this is hugely important to your practice, I think, and you touched on it at the beginning. How does sleep fit into systems biology, or rather, what effect does systems biology have on sleep?
Yeah, systems biology is again fascinating approach to body, and it understands the body more than like collection of separated parts. It understands and explains from a physiological perspective how body functions as a whole, and it considers this approach considers that endocrine system is the manager of all other systems.
It's like the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you are listening to the music that is played by our orchestra, so this is also dynamic, and we are alive because we are dynamic. And so everything is dynamic, and our body and all what's going on in our body has a purpose. And the main purpose is to maintain, preserve integrity of our body, but also, and at the same time, to adapt to changes. So like a huge work is going on behind, and so our body is not only like we have learned in universities by systems, and didn't really like search like how everything is connected, and I was always missing this, and I really found it in this approach, this systems biology that explains like everything is connected.
The human body is such a sort of fascinating and complex machine, isn't it? And sort of one thing can go awry, and it has a knock-on effect everywhere in the body, and then the body almost starts going into that coping mechanism sort of response as well, I suppose, where it starts picking up the slack for a system or an organ or a cell that isn't behaving as it should, right?
Body actually is not only excellent manager and excellent manager, but also a great economist. So I like to say this because when you understand how the physiological process go on, you can understand that body will spend only the minimum of energy for getting the best result. And so this is also the reason why sometimes, because the body cannot find the best way to respond or to keep the balance, body will cope in this way or with this situation, and will choose to create a disbalance. But this is the best what the body can do in this specific situation. And so if these balances are like its accumulation, and we do not recover, our body tissue do not, like you were talking about this restoration, like if we do not get these moments of restoration, like it's going on, and it's growing, and so body will always do the best, but it would be not always the physiological, like the best choice.
It has just to patch itself up and sort of carry on going. And so tell us a bit about the supplement that you formulated as well, because I think this is where the systems biology really comes to life, because it's not just one single system. You know, a lot of people think sleep is about sort of just calming the nervous system, but actually it's so much more complex than that, isn't it?
Yeah, so the second part of your questions was also how sleep fit to this understanding of systems biology. And so you all, like I said, you all have experienced that how you feel like globally would inevitably really influence how you sleep. And since we know today that sleep is very complicated mechanism, or we can even talk like in plural, that mechanisms, like several mechanisms. And so, and we didn't discover everything, but sleep again is not going only in the brain. For example, even if we are talking only about circadian like
rhythms.
clocks, endogenous, of course we have you all know suprachiasmatic nucleus, where we have the most important pacemaker, but we also have peripheral circadian clocks that are in liver, in pancreas, in muscles, and everything is connected.
So every organ has its own rhythm that it's working
almost
to.
Every organ, and so there is communication between central and peripheric places, parts of body, and so it's circulating, and we just can't imagine that something is going only in one place, and so. We understand the sleep like a complex mechanism where several systems at several levels are involved. And so, of course, you were talking about calming like overthinking. Of course, this is part of, you were talking also about like we need to take off from
Off the
our
day.
from our daily activity.
So does that come down to the ingredients that you're then using? What are the sort of key ingredients that you would sort of that you formulated that will encourage that sort of homeostasis in the body and across all multiple systems?
So the specificity also of our formula is that there is a team of ingredients that are key ingredients. And so they are acting on the brain mechanism of sleep, neurotransmitter production, calming arousal centers, relaxation, but whole body relaxation, also emotional and muscle relaxation, smooth muscles relaxation. And also we were thinking about cell health, because cell is one level of small units of the body needs to function properly, and so we have ingredients that fight free radicals, that fight excessive inflammation, and nourish also cell functioning. And you are talking also about detoxification. So this is something really important because night and sleep is not passive state. It's very active, and so much goes on during the night. And so we thought also about liver detoxification and like whole the process of detoxification. So we have ingredients, botanical extracts. We have micronutrients, and we have also myo-inositol magnesium bisglycinate. And so they are working like a team.
And it's interesting because I think the whole concept of the formulation that you've created is not just to get the person to sleep, but it's also to sustain that sleep and ultimately wake up the next day feeling more energized. Is that something that you feel sort of is missing?
This is something that we really wanted to create a product, nutraceutical, that not only supports our body in sleep, in healthy sleep, but also so not only to get sleep and get healthy sleep, but also to wake up energized, and
feeling rested and ready to take on the day.
Rested. Yeah. So this was
ready to go into battle again.
Great challenge, and not drowsy, and
And actually interesting that you mentioned drowsy. I mean, where do you see this fitting in? There are some people who are obviously on more traditional sleep medications and who really do struggle with chronic sleep deprivation and sort of disruption, insomnia. Do you think that this sort of supplement could ever replace those sorts of medications, or how could it best be used by those sort of clients?
Well, I'm a medical doctor at first, so like classical medicine has its place in our lives. So sometimes even sleeping pills are necessary, because some people struggle so much with the insomnia, for example, that like temporary it could be a solution, but rest it could be. We have written a protocol to accompany people that want to stop taking sleep medication, and we will provide it to professional medical.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's good just to have multiple tools in the toolbox, isn't it, and not become overly reliant on one single thing.
Yeah,
it's all about balance.
It depends what person needs at this time. And this is also about personalized medicine.
And the bespoke approach that we all always talk about. Yeah. It's so true. Maria, that was really, really interesting. Thank you so much. And really, really excited to get home and try those supplements now.
Thank you.
So our final speaker is Rose Ferguson, who I'm sure many of you know. And I always personally love speaking with Rose on conversations, events like this, because she's very relatable and very human. And I think sometimes that dose of reality and amongst all the wellness is what we sort of need in day-to-day life as well. So thank you for joining us. Tell me, do you see a lot of sleep concerns with the clients that you see?
Yeah, I do actually, and it's interesting listening to Maria, because I tell you what, someone who is struggling with sleep does not need to hear is take magnesium, because if you really are struggling with sleep, as if any of you ever have, it is really debilitating, and it can really take over your whole brain. And then the stress that you get from being tired, but then worrying about sleep, I honestly think someone's going to lean over my desk one day and go, I don't know, you think I haven't tried magnesium? Because it's sometimes, and obviously I'm not a doctor, but I definitely agree that sometimes taking sleeping pill is just to break the cycle or to stop the dread of nighttime for a lot of people. But
it's physically and metaphorically a very dark time as well, and everything always seems so much worse in the middle of the night than the sort of bright sort of sunlit mornings when you do eventually sort of wake up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's a continuum. Some people have trouble falling asleep, some people have trouble staying asleep, some people have trouble sleeping, full stop. And then there's, as you said, the quality of sleep is a thing. If someone's waking up absolutely knackered, then there's possibly something going on with, are they getting that deep sleep? So
where does nutrition fit in? I mean, is that something that you see playing a big role in sort of how effectively we sleep? Are there things that we need to be more mindful of, sort of in terms of getting that good night's rest?
Well, I mean, it's the whole picture. So if you're not eating great, then you might not be feeling great. It affects the whole rhythm of the day.
It's hard to sort of isolate one single thing and sort of tap into that, isn't it? It is the bigger picture.
It is the bigger picture, and it's sort of like it is a 360 picture. If you want to affect sleep, then I would imagine that if someone's having problems sleeping, they're possibly having low energy in the day. They're possibly having problems with their digestion and bowel movement. It's possibly you can see it in the skin because it is all connected. So nutrition, I would say, it affects everything. Obviously, it's what we fuel our body with. And so if you want your body to operate well, then you need to be eating the right things. And if you're filling your body full of, sugar would be my number one, but caffeine, alcohol, inflammatory foods, then it is potentially, your body will, as you say, you will get away with a lot because your body is amazing. But if you are having issues and they're showing in symptoms such as disrupted sleep, then changing what you eat can make. That's what I work in every day, and it's amazing if you change what you put in your mouth every day, the impact it has is huge.
I mean, they say 80% is what we eat. I mean,
the fact that this isn't primary care,
is
insane to me. I'm like, but this is what we literally. It's information. Food is information, and it informs every single chemical reaction. Actually, that's not true because there's environmental and stuff, but it's a pretty big one.
It really is, but you also need to really sort of hammer home the education around that as well for people to take it as seriously as actually you're right, it needs to be taken. And obviously not to demonise foods or sort of celebrate them sort of unwantedly, but what are the things that probably would help us fall asleep better sort of nutritionally?
I think I'm so boring because I think it's balance. It's balance. I think there are ways of eating that can help as well. I think, if you're going to eat a really heavy, difficult meal for your body to deal with at 9 o'clock at night, it's going to impact how you sleep because your body's working, essentially. And you may go into a food coma, but your body, your physical body, it's the same thing, is working quite hard. And actually, this is where Oura rings can be quite useful because, you can show someone that they feel asleep, but their body's still working, so they're not getting that deep sleep. Their heart rate's not coming down till quite late. Their heart rate variability is not that great. So I'd say, eating lighter at night is really good. I think I see quite a lot of people who avoid carbohydrate at night.
For sort of the weight gain sort of reasons.
But then that can impact their sleep. I think making sure it's getting a balance and making sure that you're not, and the other thing is that people do that and then they have a snack because they're starving. But making sure that you feel satiated, that you feel comfortable is important. And I suppose things like fats will help you, because you feel full.
The healthy fats, yeah.
Healthy fats, yeah. But I do think it's balance. I'm sorry.
But it's true, actually. I think it's important to sort of be even more mindful of what you're eating, especially if you are trying to eat a little earlier so that your digestion is, like you say, you can then climb into bed at 11:30 p.m. before the cells start dividing and everything.
11:15 because we're asleep at 11:30.
And then suddenly you're like, well, I'm ravenous because I ate dinner at 6:30 p.m. and it's like half the day's gone again. So it is making sure that you eat quality sort of ingredients and
yeah, exactly. And also things that your body knows what to do with, so that, and something like fibre would be, making sure you get your veg in, because that also slows down it will stop any insulin spikes, which stops also cortisol. And yeah.
Where does intermittent fasting fit in? Because you and I have spoken about this on sort of panels in the past. I know you're a sort of advocate for it, sort of done in the right ways, obviously. How does that sort of affect our sleep, and how can we do it so that it doesn't disrupt our sleep if we are ravenous at some point?
Well, the thing about intermittent fasting is that actually, talking about peripheral circadian rhythm, is that actually what we should be doing is eating first. You know, we should be feeding our peripheral circadian rhythm. Now I'm sort of looking at Maria going. But you know, from what I think is that you should be feeding your peripheral, you know, because that's when we're very metabolically active in the morning.
So like the bigger breakfast, is that what you mean?
Just having breakfast. You know, people tend to skip breakfast. And actually, this is very general. We are all different, and some things work for some people, some things don't. But I think trying and seeing if that does fit you, like having breakfast. And I'm a big fan of the 10-14 or the 12-12. I'm a really big fan. It's sustainable. You can do it. And as I always say, people think that taking 12 hours, you know, they think they do 12 hours off, but they don't. You know, because you can sort of just have a little snack later. You can have a cup of tea, milky tea at 5:30 in the morning if that's when you wake up. Those things all break your fast, as you know, in an insulin response kind of fast way. But I just think 12-12 is miraculous for a lot of people because they don't feel restricted. They can do it. They can do it with 3 meals a day, and it, you know, and that balance. It means their body is fueled, and it's not panicking about where food's coming from, and it means that then they can sleep.
It's nothing worse than panicking about where food's coming from. So you find yourself in the fridge and sort of at 1 a.m., don't you? What's my next question? Tell me about coffee and alcohol, because you mentioned that right at the beginning, actually. And again, as somebody who really advocates living life in balance, you know, maintaining those social connections, I mean, we know that coffee and alcohol aren't going to give us the best night's sleep, obviously. I mean, I will wake up without fail at 2 a.m. if I've had more than 2 glasses of wine. So how do we balance that sort of, you know, wanting to have a restful and sort of relaxing social life, but also then not disrupting sleep?
Well, coffee is really obvious, but that is also another one. Some people are really great at processing coffee. So there are those people who can have a double espresso at 11 o'clock at night and then go straight to sleep. Yeah. And my husband, turns out, who's so far from being Italian. So, you know, so there's loads of great things about coffee. That, you know, we keep seeing more and more data on how great coffee is. But I would say 2 a day. I see lots of people who stimulate their adrenal. They're tired, so they have a coffee. That's not the right way to have coffee, because you're basically bluffing your adrenals into producing more. You're stimulating them, and that's going to create more fatigue.
You're right. You always feel worse if you're absolutely on the floor, and then you think you're going to have a coffee, and it will pick you up, and it doesn't. No. It doesn't work.
That's to listen to your body situation. It's like, okay, I'm tired. And then booze. Well, I think again, some people are really fine with it. I know, because I've worn monitors and sleep monitors, and that if I have 1 or 2 glasses, and this is personal, clearly, if I have 2 glasses of wine, my body is not sleeping till about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So, and then there are people who it doesn't do that too. But I think for many people, asking them to not drink alcohol and to see how they feel, it can be really an eye-opener. And that's not to say that you should never drink. It's just knowing, actually, if I do drink, I might not feel as fresh.
It's sort of picking your moments, isn't it? Yeah. And going, my sleep might be disrupted, but actually I can deal with it, and it's Saturday night and there's nothing happening tomorrow. Exactly.
And I'm out and I'm having a nice time, and I would like that glass of wine. But I do think it's nice to know. It's like knowledge. That's a knowledge is power situation. It's sort of...
Don't they say all the different organs sort of detoxify at different hours of the night as well? They all sort of, I think traditional Chinese medicine says there's a different hour for every organ. So the liver
is... does, yeah.
And the liver is like literally at like 2-3 a.m. or something.
Something like that.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, and that's when you wake up going, I need water. Because your body's finished doing its thing, in theory. I think that, you know, that the alcohol... Because alcohol is... I sound like I'm really bashing alcohol. Alcohol is taking...
I feel like you and I always end up talking about alcohol on these panels, so that says a lot.
I spend a lot of time talking about booze. Alcohol is a poison to the body. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. I mean, but it is, and so the body's going to deal with that first. It has to deal with that first, and so it won't start doing the restorative part until it's done that, because
it won't be absorbing all of our sort of actives in our skincare because it's too busy doing our liver.
Yes, exactly.
Getting rid of the booze. That's too funny. And where does sort of the more mindful meditation practices fit in as well? Breath work, yoga. I know I think Maria touched on sort of exercise, and you do that at the wrong time of the day as well, and that can contribute to sort of poor sleep. So do you have any sort of advice, any tips on how to integrate the more mindfulness practices in as well, and any sort of thoughts on how they benefit sleep for us?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this because for as long as I've been doing this, I've been saying, don't look at your screens, don't watch telly, don't do that. Some people really love watching TV before they go to bed. They find it's a real switch off.
Some people fall asleep to it, don't
some
they?
Some people fall asleep to it.
Wake up, turn it off, fall back.
Yes, exactly. But for some people, it is like it's sort of, for want of a better word, numbing. You just switch it on. It's really passive. You've had one hell of a day. And I think it's a lot about having the intent from working, with people. It's about having the intention. So if you're going to watch TV, perhaps don't watch something that is overstimulating or upsetting or too it's about the mindfulness part. I think is having the intention that actually this is my wind down, and I am going to do something, whatever that is, to wind down. And in 2 hours' time, I'm going to bed. So I think
having a bit more purpose sort of surrounding it.
Having a bit more purpose and intention around it. And of course, if you can do half an hour's meditation, amazing. But in my experience, that is not something people tend to do. And actually, on that note, maybe start off with 5 minutes, 3 minutes. These things build. So rather than thinking, I've got to meditate for half an hour, do 3 minutes of deep breathing.
Exactly. I'm obsessed with my Calm app, I have to say. I got into it in lockdown, and I sort of downloaded it again the other day. And
I love it.
It's amazing. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I've always got a meditation sort of track going on now. Tell us a little bit about the role of light as well. You and I spoke about this just before, and I thought it was really interesting, sort of how light affects the circadian rhythms. We already know that's sort of how our sort of brain gets sort of triggered into relaxing at nighttime to sleep. But you were telling me about light bulbs and changing light bulbs, which I thought was fascinating.
Oh, I had a fantastic meeting with. He owns something. It's called ray lighting, but they have developed these bulbs which are there's no, the blue spikes that you get, and it doesn't flicker. And this guy actually weirdly was not really, but I met him years ago because when we built our house, he did all the electrics, and now he's developed these lights which. He showed me on his phone a normal light, and it flickers. You can't see it, but it's flickering. And we can't see it, but our brain is desperately trying to work out what the hell it is all the time. And it sounds exhausting just talking to him. And these light bulbs don't flicker. And the blue light spikes are much, softened.
But because we're all told that we obviously need to be out in sunlight, but sometimes, particularly in this country, sort of winter, it's dark, we just don't actually get access to good, strong, natural sunlight. So I guess we turn on all the lights in the house, but then that could also be detrimental, right?
Yeah, but also, there's some crazy statistic. I think we spend 80% of our time, 80% of our time under not natural light. And it's, and so when you think about I just think it's a tiny little thing you can change. Every time a light bulb goes, get one of these light bulbs. And if you think about the environment you're then creating for your brain, I just think it's mind-blowing to do that, and I think it's an amazing thing just to do. It's really simple, and it can change the way that your poor brain is having to deal with.
I know, you're right. It does sound exhausting when you talk about the flickering light and the brain fighting it. It was so true.
Natural light in the morning is a great thing to do. We know that it helps. We know that it helps us. The part where this falls down is because lots of people travel all the time. But actually, having said that, if you are traveling, one of the best things to do to get your circadian rhythm listening is to go out and get light in your eyes for 20 minutes in the morning.
I've heard the same. And not to wear your SPF for the first 5 minutes or so, just to get the vitamin D into your skin. I know, I shouldn't say that, sat next to a skincare expert up here. No, really amazing tips. Thank you so much, Rose. Really fascinating as always. So that brings us to the end of tonight's panel discussion. And as always, it's really fascinating to sit up here and moderate these conversations and glean all the expertise and wisdom from our brilliant speakers. We've hosted talks on sleep in the past, and I always say the same thing. Sleep sleep affects everything, and it seems that everything affects our sleep. It's this crazy sort of ecosystem, and it can sometimes feel really difficult to unpick and unravel what is causing the disruption and what we can do ultimately to make it better. But I think all of you have given us such powerful and insightful takeaways. It's been such a privilege to listen to, and I hope everyone here has found it helpful, like I have. We have time for some questions, and we also have obviously referral cards, so you can leave those with us. Goodie bags, please don't forget those if you need to scoot off. But otherwise, yeah, I think Rose is going to have to dash because she's running back to the Cotswolds. Have you got a few more minutes? I don't wear a watch, so I never have any idea. But did anyone have any questions in the audience? If not, all of our speakers, I'm sure, will be around for a little bit longer as well to chat and sort of catch up. Gosh, we must have covered absolutely everything. Yeah, exactly. Had the chamomile tea and everyone's fallen asleep. Perfect. Well, we'll all be here apart from Rose for in less than a minute. So do catch everyone afterwards. And yeah, that was a very easy wrap up, I have to say. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Amazing to have you, and thank you.